what I'm going to try to do this week on the basis of the jousting is to ask how violence can be regulated, controlled, how there can be rules, okay? And looking at what the nature of those rules are, in other words, sport, and also looking at the relationship between men and women, in which, of course, women in the natural world are chattels, women are weaker. Physically and throughout human existence, that's been the case. It's now changed. I'm not saying, look, we're not saying that the past is wrong and we're right, or that they are wrong and that we're right. We're looking at how one becomes the other. That's what history is actually about. So let's actually then begin with the joust and look at how that actually works. Can we have the joust up, please? Waiting for our opponent. One of us will put our arm like that. Oh my God! Look at Jamal's face! He's like, I do not want to be here. What was that? And then catch under your armpit, so in it goes. When your opponent and you are coming towards each other, you bring the lance on target, so you hit me in the middle there. I raise your arm, and then down it comes, and then you're going to feel bring it on target. Raise it up. You know what, this is what's going to be like in March. Can we just pause there? Can we just pause it there?
Right, can I say that was a great idea? Yeah, that was.
Right.
We've been dying to see what.
Okay, that was my idea in case. Okay, yes. Let's carry on, and I'll try and now explain what the point of all that is. Those of you who did everybody pick up a lance?
Yes.
Right.
No,
how heavy?
Very heavy.
So about 30-40 pounds, I reckon.
It's 30-40 pounds. Right.
Now I know why.
They are small. The ones you were handling were children's. They were very, very light. In the Tower of London, anybody here been to the Tower?
Yeah.
Right, there are the real things, and some of them are about 10 inches in diameter at the bottom, and they are huge, and they will weigh double that. Sometimes they use ship's masts, okay, as lances. In other words, what do you have to be?
Strong.
Very strong. And how do you become very strong?
Working out.
Working out. If you remember when the man introducing the jousting put the armour on and he talked about that silk skirt that he was wearing, he was referring to Henry VIII. And this is Henry VIII here as an old man, not as he was. When he came to the throne, he was your age.
Was he really?
He was 17 years and 10 months old. When Henry's young then, and he is jousting, the level of, as I was saying, of the contact sport's extraordinary. And we actually, Henry, we've got the records of Henry's actual working out equipment. We know the size of weights he uses, how he uses them, the exercises he performs. Because essentially, to handle a lance, what do you need? Which are the muscles that you will need?
Triceps, biceps.
You need the upper body. You need the upper body, and sorry.
And the lower, because if you're on a horse,
You've to grip,
Yeah.
but that's separate. Or everybody, remember, learns to ride before they walk. Henry, when he's a boy of 3.5, and he makes his first sort of processional entry into London, 3.5, he rides a war horse on his own. Now, how high is a war horse?
About 5'8".
Oh, no, much higher. No. A war horse will be getting on, the head will be...
11 foot.
Exactly. It's that sort of... They're as big as a Shire horse. And they're built...
He's 3.5.
He's 3.5.
That's huge, man.
But,
I can't ride a Shetland pony.
Well, exactly. But
you Shire horse.
But sorry, are you getting the idea how these people are trained? Yeah. They're being trained to do what? They're being trained... Riding, right? Why do you ride? Does anybody else? Danielle, you were talking about. Do you ride?
Do I have, yeah.
Yeah,
I
Right.
that's what I did.
You used to. Were you any good at it?
I was alright, yeah.
You were all right. But you were just doing it for fun.
Do you want to know what happened, yeah? I'd put my horse into... Not my horse. I'd put the horse into canter and it bucked me off and I hit my back on his wooden thing. It really hurt. I started
Yes.
crying.
Were you
and
wearing a
everything.
helmet?
Yeah, but
Well,
it was my back,
something-
not my
No,
head.
indeed, yes.
My back.
In
I
other
was
words,
crying.
in
I was
other
like,
words,
"Mum."
in other words, what is riding?
A sport.
It's a skill.
And it's
A skill.
and if you come off on,
essential.
if you come off
You've
on
got to
your
get back on it again.
no. If you come off,
It hurts.
it hurts. In other words, it's
Dangerous.
It's very dangerous. Why does everybody then who matters? Why do they need to ride?
So they can fight in the war.
No, so you can get
Yes, but there's another reason.
They didn't have cars.
There's no
Oh,
car.
yes,
There are no
transport.
cars. It's, in other words, you've a choice between walking and riding. Who rides? Who walks?
Men ride, women walk.
No.
Poor.
Rich people
No, I didn't
ride.
mean that. I didn't mean that in a sexist way at all. What I
Thanks,
thought.
yeah, Connor.
No.
Rich people ride, poor people walk. And who will ride the best, the biggest, the
kings
strongest?
and
The
queens.
king, who is showing off, and
Because he's
he's
got
being
loads of money and he can afford things like that.
and he's being trained when he's only a child to do this. So we've found out, first of all, jousting is an unbelievably rough contact sport. Did any of you try armour on? No. Right.
Yeah, helmet.
You tried a helmet. How heavy?
Very plastic.
Make so many jokes here.
It was plastic.
Oh, they were
so
plastic,
heavy.
were they? Or
Oh,
there
you
were no
tried
metal
one,
ones?
didn't you?
The man had his own on.
Right, OK. The ordinary weight of a suit of armour for Henry or anybody else at court in the early 16th century is 120 to 150 pounds. So we've got then this really rough, heavy contact sport, and wearing a suit of armour is difficult, picking up a lance is difficult. And what you were trying, can we now have when you were actually trying jousting? OK, can we bring the next image up, please?
Let's get ready to rumble. Who's that?
Did he tell you what this was called? What is it? What are you
What to
doing?
begin with?
What are you doing? You're riding at a... Yeah, but it's a
Circle.
ring. It's called riding at the ring. And what you're trying to do is to get your lance through the ring, OK? This kit you had there was just a sort of little gallows, wasn't it, with the ring hanging off it, OK? If it were for real, in other words, if it was how they trained, it would be rotary. So you'd have an arm there, and we'd have a heavy weight at the back. So as if you didn't get the ring, but you hit the structure, what would happen?
The way to come around and hit you.
The weight would come round and knock you off the horse. So, it's seriously heavy competition.
When they practiced, did they use real horses?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
They use real horses. They would also have been using full-weight armour. They'd have been learning to do it with full-weight armour. You've got to get used to it. You've got to be strong enough, actually, to handle it. Now, we've got here pictures showing how an actual joust works. The quality is not brilliant. Imagine when you're actually doing it for real. You've got this great big horse. You've got a big, tall, strong man. How tall is Henry VIII?
6'4".
No, that's his grandfather. That's Edward IV. It's a very good guess. We know about his grandfather precisely because his skeleton has been dug up and he's been measured precisely. No, Henry VIII is about 6'1".
6'1" tall.
I just said 6'1".
Yeah. How can I speak so confidently as to give you his exact height? We don't have his skeleton. Ronnie?
Portrait pictures.
How about his armour?
Great, it's his armour. A suit of armour is made to measure. So it tells you exactly the height. Pardon?
You don't want it too big or too small.
Apparently he had a really fat ass.
Well, eventually. When he's young, he doesn't. When he's young, he's a rugger player build. He's got a sort of 44 chest, hugely muscly, very heavy arms. But he's like about 6'1" tall. But imagine you've got this horse, you've got the suit of armour, you've got the man, and you've got a lance weighing 30, 40, 50, 60 pounds. What is the impact going to be?
I reckon about £150.
Well, no, it's vastly more than that.
£500.
It's hugely huge. No, it's the equivalent of a small car crash. If you actually think, well, if you think of what happens, they will be getting up to 20 miles an hour, right? Which does damage in a car.
Why do they want to do this then?
What?
Why do they want to do this?
What are they showing off that they are?
Strong.
Men.
And rich. Yeah.
Well, yes, they're rich because, again, look at the things in front of you. Look at the colour, the gold, the fabrics. What this then is a demonstration of strength, sporting prowess, agility, because...
Honour.
Now. But what is the obvious risk, Michael? Yes, somebody's going to get really, really injured. If you go back earlier, joust people were regularly killed. Now, what is the safety measure?
Because the barrier is to stop head-on collisions.
Great. Why is a head-on collision particularly dangerous?
It ruins the whole sport, because if they just do like that, and you don't see who's injured, they're both injured.
No. You're doing science at the moment with Robert Winston, right? If you think of a car crash, what is the most dangerous possible car crash?
Head-on collision.
Head-on collision, because that's when...
just crushes.
That's right.
Oh, I know.
Sorry, Henry. The worst impact...
The pressure, you've got the pressure from both cars, haven't you? Or both
That's
horses.
right. So the worst possible impact is a head-on collision. So what they do then with this barrier... What's the barrier called, anybody?
Barrier reef.
Barrier reef. Ha. Think about it. What are the other words for this? It's called jousting and...
Ring targeting.
No. Tilting. It's the tilt yard. The tilt yard. And this is called the tilt. The barrier's called the tilt, and that's the thing which most stops you being injured. What are all these marshals doing?
They're watching.
Yeah, but watching to do what? What is it that makes a sport?
They're the officials.
The competition.
So what are they doing?
Judging.
Yeah, they're judging, and what else?
Umpire, commentator.
Making sure it's played
No,
fair.
like medically.
Refereeing.
They are refereeing, they're enforcing rules. The difference then between what went on in Anglo-Saxon England and this is not actually all that much. It's for rich people. They're spending an awful lot of money on glamour, fabrics, armour, lances, swords, well, chaps in skirts. It was fashion, fashion. A bit like David Beckham, and sarongs. I mean, it's if you're well, that's all right. That's fine. I'm not criticising it. I'm
Just like...
I'd love to see
he's
it.
a dream, isn't he? Yes. Okay, so it's rules. It's rules that turn random violence into a sport, isn't it? What's going on here, then, is trying to regulate violence by rules.
Yeah.
OK? And the betting you... There are a lot of rules. And you were telling me, Connor, about scoring. Did they show you how they actually scored?
Headshot a certain amount of points.
Right.
Body shot a certain amount of points. Miss no points. And if you kill them, then you win.
OK. Now, look. How many courses, how many times will people run? No. Very often people will run 8 or 9 times. So what you've got to do, you've got to work out average score, right? Every time somebody runs in the joust, you put a line there. Every time you hit the helmet, which, as you said, is maximum points...
Or death, innit?
No. The aim is not to kill. The aim at this point is simply to score, right? In every sense. But you send the lance at the helmet.
Did Henry kill anyone doing that?
He comes very, very near, and he's nearly killed himself. And the king of France in 1559 is actually killed in a joust, because what happens? There's a fault in the visor of his helmet, and the splinter of the lance goes in and penetrates his brain. Let's get the scoring right. Somebody has hit the head. What do? I put a line there like that. On the upper one, I put a line there. Did they tell you the really high score is to break the lance on the helmet? This is why you have to be so incredibly strong. And how does this affect the shape of the helmet?
It dents it, so it's...
No. And what sort of helmet do you have to have?
The ones with the little bit of the eye.
It's got to be flat there, and you raise your head up, and then there is a little slit through which you look.
Yeah.
And at the
And you
moment of
can't see
impact,
down.
what you have to do at the
Close
moment
your
of
eyes.
impact... No, that's exactly what will get the lance going into
Oh,
it.
you lift your head up.
You've got... I think it must be the origin of the
Because then the
expression.
lance
It's the
is
origin
just-
of the expression chin up, I imagine. You've to do that, and then the
It'll slide off.
lance actually hits you there. If you all look at your coloured chart, you can actually see this is Henry riding on the big horse here, and he is breaking his lance on the helmet of his opponent. How do you note that you've broken a lance?
2 lines. No, an X.
You do that. If you hit the body, you go there, and if you break your lance, you go there. OK, this is then a regular sport. Let's now just start talking about what's actually going on, not simply in terms of the sport, but who's doing it. The only people, you were getting, Jenny, I think you would get cross about this, who only is allowed to joust? Men. Right? Tell me who is in the pavilion above the king.
It's the
Women,
women.
the Queen.
The
Because
Queen.
they're trying to impress the wives from like the good
Queen,
families.
and this is the
See what I'm
Queen
saying?
here, Katherine of Aragon, and what is Henry wearing on what's called the
Orange like
on the horse? Look, his horse
Ladybug material.
has lots and lots of material. Tell me what's embroidered on Henry's horse.
how do
A
we-
K.
The king.
There's a K. No, K for.
King.
No,
Oh,
K
no.
for...
Kicker.
What's his
One of
wife
his
called?
wives, yeah.
What's his
Oh.
wife called?
Camilla.
Catherine. Catherine. It's, in other words, Georgia, what is the king riding as?
A knight.
He's riding
A
as whose knight?
representative.
Champion.
Sorry,
A
who's...
representative of his wife.
That's great, Emmy. He is riding as... He's riding...
Chloe.
Sorry, Emmy, I'm sorry. He is riding as Catherine's knight. And when he wins... If he wins, or whoever wins the prize, who will present the prize?
Catherine.
The woman.
The woman, yeah.
Nowadays, if you think of the world of sport nowadays, what would be the nearest equivalent to Catherine?
Me.
No,
Katie
A wag.
Katie. A wag, yeah.
it would be a
Katie
wag.
Bird.
Catherine is exactly the same
Yeah,
as a
definitely.
wag, isn't she? So in this sport, which has got rules, the woman is treated as...
The prize.
No, on the contrary, she's treated as... She's
Because
treated
they're
as
buying to
she's
be-
the
yeah,
goddess.
I get it.
The man is supposed to worship her. This is true even when you're actually a king. Let's just listen to this. What is the power of Henry VIII? What could he do?
Anything he fucking wanted.
Well, yeah, if you eliminate one of the middle words, yes, he could
sorry.
do whatever he wanted. This is how the most powerful king in Europe writes to a woman. Written by the hand of the secretary who in heart, body and will is your most loyal and assured servant. Servant.
Who does he think he is?
Well,
He's talking about his wife.
no, this is
Him to his
right.
wife.
Okay, what does the word mistress mean?
Yeah, the missus.
Right, it's when you have an affair. But what is the other meaning of the word
Like
mistress?
Tina.
No, the opposite.
The best person.
Your best
like
wife.
your wife.
No.
Your
What is a
housekeeper.
mistress?
I said
A
the
teacher.
housekeeper. The
Right,
head.
sorry again, Michael.
Person that's in control.
Yes, it's a female equivalent of what's the male word?
Gimp.
Master.
Master.
Like
Mistress.
headmaster,
Mistress is
headmistress.
the exact headmaster.
Yeah, right, now I
Headmistress,
get it.
exactly
I thought
what
you
you're
were talking about
familiar with. So, in other words, in this world in which they're starting to introduce rules into sport, rules into war, the most powerful way in which you introduce rules in male behaviour is sexy women and making men, to use a word we're all using a lot, respectful of women. This is the whole name of the game that we're looking at. And Henry is riding as Catherine's humble servant, and later on, of course, he changes his mind, as men have a habit of doing, and becomes Anne Boleyn's humble servant.
He don't care, man. He just wants a boy.
No, sorry, Connor, I think that's where you're wrong, and I think that you're all doing your Romeo and Juliet. That is the world of Romeo and Juliet. It begins in this gang warfare, and then what happens with Romeo and Juliet? What do?
They fall in love.
They fall in love. They fall in love, just like, you know, just like the Beatles, or still worse, the Rolling Stones, Liverpudlian love. They fall in love. Now, do you suppose that culture that I was talking about last week, the gangland war, do you suppose that men went down on their knees to women and said, I mean, how is a man supposed to propose nowadays?
On their hands and knees.
Well, not quite on their hands and knees. What is a man doing when he does that?
Himself.
He's lowering
and
himself.
And the woman seems higher.
And the
than
woman
the
is higher, and the woman is in control.
And
what are you
respect
entitled to say at that
yes
moment?
Or no?
No. Go away. That's exactly what Anne Boleyn does. Yeah. She tells Henry to go away until he agrees to marry her. She's using the power of a woman to dominate even a king. If you look at Romeo and Juliet, that is a moment when this sort of romantic passion is invented. It doesn't exist before, and you won't find anything quite of the same type. And I think it's a real moment when men and women begin to change how they behave. Pardon?
They get locked down.
No, I think that okay, people, as in Romeo and Juliet, there are tragedies, but men are learning to restrain their behaviour. They're learning, no, they are, slowly. But Daniel, sorry, you are moving in a world in which we've forgotten these rules.
Jake.
Yeah, this is true.
Even 30, 40 years ago, what was a man supposed to do when a woman walked into a room?
Stand up. If it's opposite at your table,
stand up.
Curtsy.
What were you supposed to do if you were at a door and a woman came up?
Open the door.
You were supposed to open the door.
Ladies
and
first.
That was all regarded.
And they put their jackets over puddles, didn't they?
And that was who did that?
The Queen. It was the Queen.
No, yeah, but it was for which Queen?
Queen Elizabeth I.
And who did it?
Oh, I'm trying to think. Henry, was it Henry?
No. He's her father. Henry VIII is Elizabeth's father. It was Sir Walter Raleigh, and there's this great flourish. In other words, he is being courtly. So what we've done, we're learning how rules start to come into human behaviour.
So, can I ask you a question? Would you ever take your jacket off and put it in a puddle for a woman?
No.
Nor would I.
But then I'm gay. But and probably bad-mannered. Would you
do it for a fella then?
Yes.
Would you do it for a fella?
No. Unless he was very good looking. And I've lost interest in all that anyway. And my only interests are focused on you in the very best possible way. Okay. That is what I set out that I would try to do at the beginning. And I hope I've sort of done it. And thank you.